Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV. I'm Tommy Krysan, along with NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst Chris Landry. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You can feel it. Football's in the air, isn't it?
Well, you know, we did the show as we do every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock last week, and August was on the calendar, but here we are, August 10th. Media Day took place out at the LSU indoor facility yesterday. Most all the other state schools have had their media days, and they're practicing. ULL has unveiled new uniforms. Coach Toledo at Tulane's happy. I mean, everybody's happy as we're right at 3+ weeks away from the referee blowing that whistle and having some football collegiately. And, of course, you know, high school will start the jamborees in week 1 of the prep sports across Louisiana will start. NFL a little bit later. But I think for the first time all summer as we've battled through the heat and, you know, some Wednesdays looking for a little something to talk about, we got plenty now.
And no question about it. It's a fun time of year, I think, for fans, and certainly as a coach, it's great to welcome your players back and start to get a true feel for what the young guys could do, how they might be able to contribute, see the body changes of players in the offseason, of your returning players, and gosh, it won't be long, about 3 weeks before everybody's going to be kicking it off for real, and everything is going to be counting in the standings. So it's we're off and running.
For those of you new to Tigers Roar TV, we started about a year ago. This is show 51. We weekly talking about LSU football. Obviously, Tigers Roar, the primary topic each and every week, year-round, is LSU football, be it recruiting, right now fall camp, obviously the season, the postseason, signing day, take it through the calendar. But we do take a weekly run through the LSU athletic department, and we got a couple of baseball and Hall of Fame and basketball items for you tonight. We do go across the athletic department, whether it be soccer or volleyball. They both had their media day here today as well. So we do all of that. But with Pelican Sports TV airing in the Lafayette and New Orleans markets, and we welcome all of you viewing and encourage you to spread the roar, as we like to say, about this program every Wednesday night live from 8 to 10 p.m. We will have segments when you can call in. We appreciate all the callers last year. There'll be segments in the show when we'll take your phone calls. You can ask Chris Landry a question or bring up a topic or a thought. We will do that at different points during the show. Just about every week we'll visit with Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com, a great website that does a lot to promote all LSU sports as well. If you're catching this program not on Wednesday night from 8 to 10 p.m., you're catching a replay, and there are numerous outlets, much to our pleasure, that pick up Tigers Roar. Of course, it replays on Pelican on Thursdays and Saturdays. WHNO-TV in New Orleans plays it on Fridays at 5 o'clock. The ETEL cable system plays it on Saturdays. We've got some other people called as much as today, wanting to get it up to other parts of Louisiana. So Mississippi Gulf Coast, if you're seeing it, not on a Wednesday, you're catching a tape. So we appreciate that, and may be convenient for you to watch it not on a Wednesday. The Wednesday night program, and this is important, it streams online at PelicanSportsTV.com. So if you got somebody outside that South Louisiana, Mississippi Gulf Coast area, be it a family, a friend, an LSU fan, just college fan, you can tell them to watch it. Our radio show got people from Oregon listening the last couple of days wanting to hear something about LSU as their fan base up in Oregon, obviously getting ready for the September 3rd game. So it's our pleasure to have you tuned in. We welcome that one. As we say, we ask you to spread the roar about this program. Find us on Facebook at Pelican Broadcasting. That's a great way to keep up with all the activities of Pelican Sports TV and Pelican Sports Radio. The Facebook page, again, is Pelican Broadcasting. We're on Twitter and YouTube and all of that, but keep up with Pelican Broadcasting on Facebook. That's a great way to keep up with it. Now, one other thing we do. Yeah, we have faces made for radio. Unfortunately, we get on the radio a good bit. Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. in Baton Rouge on the Score 1210 a.m. on your radio dial. Streams online at thescore1210.com. Chris Landry and me, Tommy Krysan, with a little Pelican Sports Radio, mixing it up 5 days a week, and that's a lot of fun.
It is. Get a chance to interact with our callers, which we'll do here, but it's great to, on the radio side, to on a daily basis, talk about sports, and obviously we focus a lot on football this time of year, but we delve into just about everything that's happening. If it's happening, we'll talk about it and have an opinion on it, and we encourage you to have one as well.
And as the promos say, yeah, we talk about prep sports. We obviously college, professional, but there's a national story. You know, Dan Ugler having a 30-game hitting streak for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, we'll talk about it. We both are golf enthusiasts. We'll talk about things like the PGA Championship going on this weekend. So it's a well-rounded show. Now, when you want football all year long, you tune in on Thursdays at 2 p.m., The Chris Landry Show, NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst. College or pro, it's football all year long. That show also streams online at thescore1210.com. It airs in New Orleans on Friday evenings at 6 o'clock on WIST 690 a.m. Got some other outlets getting ready to pick up the Chris Landry Show as well as Pelican Sports Radio. And Chris, right now is a great time for you to give everybody a hint on what you'll have on tomorrow's August 11th edition of the Chris Landry Show.
Well, we always do a football one-on-one segment. We'll take something related to the strategy of the game on or off the field, and we'll break that down. And we've been talking about receiver play the past 2 or 3 shows, and we're going to get into something that I think it's overlooked, Tommy, is catching the football, the proper way to catch the football, secure the football. So we'll get into that. In the football breakdown segment, last week we talked about LSU's coaching staff. We're going to continue with that, talk a little bit about Coach Miles and his philosophical approach, kind of break down this LSU roster in brevity to give you a feel for how they're looking through the first week of fall camp. We'll get into other conferences and how they're starting to stack up in their two-a-days and how things are shaping up as the season is right around the corner. We'll have a rest of the story this week. It's about a player that mysteriously left our training camp when I was with the Titans, so I think you'll enjoy that. And then, of course, all the latest news and notes around NFL camps, college football camps. As football season is right here. A lot of news. We'll try to give you some stuff that maybe you can't get anywhere else. We think you will enjoy it, so give us a listen here at Thursday at 2 p.m. And as you mentioned, in New Orleans, Friday 6 p.m. on 690 WIST.
Yeah, and of course, if the 3 to 4 and the 2 to 3 doesn't fit, both programs are available via podcast. You go to thescore1210.com, on demand, Pelican Sports Radio, and you can hear the different segments of the Chris Landry Show and of Pelican Sports Radio. So a lot happening, and of course we will have an LSU football post-game show. The phones first, WJBO, Pelican Sports TV, post-game show. Still putting a few details together on the cast of characters and the lineup for that program. I'll be the host. We're going to be joined by some people, including Chris, and some other things in the works. That'll be immediately following each football game, home or away. All 12 games, any postseason game, any bowl game. We got phones first, as WJBO is known for in the Baton Rouge market. That show will be simulcast on radio and TV. So if you're out at the stadium, you put the radio on. If you're at home, you get the TV on. And you're going to get the very best in phones first, phone calls, stats, analysis, recaps, the whole bit, everything you get on Tigers Roar. So really excited about the fall being here. As Pelican Sports TV has been having the Wednesday night and a post-game show through various ways the last several years, and really excited about the second year of the partnership with WJBO in Baton Rouge. And it's going to be a fun show, and it's always fun after the games because you never know what you're going to get. And the ironic thing is, you know, as you know by now, most of you people watching this show, big-time sports fans and enthusiasts, when the game doesn't go real well, you tend to get more comments and more calls than you get that 42-10 sleeper. It's the way it goes.
Well, it's going to be an interesting season. We're looking forward to drilling down into that. This LSU football team is certainly a good-looking team and certainly a tough schedule, so they're going to be playing a lot of good-looking teams, and that's going to create for what is a lot of close games. LSU under Les Miles has played a lot of close games, a lot of drama, so as fans tend to get their heart out of their throat, they have a vehicle to call in and talk about it positively or negatively.
And again, so we encourage you to, you know, as I call it, all the housekeeping announcements at the beginning of the show. We do have an email address. It's pelicanbroadcasting@gmail.com, G as in Google. So if there's any question, comment, topic, want to know how you can get one of the radio shows, Chris Landry or Pelican Sports Radio, or any of the TV stuff, Tigers Roar, post game, just send us an email and we'll get the correct person to get you an answer. and on the online stream, just anything you need to know about any of the stuff I've mentioned or anything with Pelican Broadcasting, it's pelicanbroadcasting@gmail.com. And as I mentioned, Chris, had some folks listening in Oregon to the radio, so there's no doubt some folks watching online tonight in Oregon, knowing that we got some LSU Media Day stuff for everybody. We got comments from Coach Miles, Coach Studrawa, Coach Chavis. We got players, and you and Chris Lecoq did a lot of interviews yesterday afternoon, and not going to see everything we got tonight. We'll have more next week, but Chris and the editorial staff here at the Pelican have done a great job. As you get a look at a little activity there for Media Day yesterday, and do want to compliment Chris Lecoq, our editor-in-chief, with some new graphics and new graphics you'll see next week, a new opening segment and new bumps to this show, as each and every year we try to spice it up. There's the impeccable one, Kent Lowe, LSU SID office, talking with you and I, Chris, at Media Day yesterday, and some of the players dressed out in the indoor facility. We'll have a whole lot of that stuff for you on tonight's program and in the coming weeks. And each and every week we'll be at the Les Miles Press Luncheon. We'll do player interviews. We have other interns and members of our staff. We got some new interns that are starting in a couple weeks, and we're gonna put it together for you, and we want you to spread the roar about it. When we come back, we're gonna talk LSU football, some highlights about offense, kind of take an offensive slant the first couple of segments of this hour of Tigers Roar. And in about 10-15 minutes, we'll open the phone lines up for a little bit if you do want to place a call on the offensive category. We want to try to keep the phone calls and the categories matched up as much as possible throughout the course of the season during Tigers Roar. He is Chris Landry, NFL scout and Fox Sports football analyst and co-host of Tigers Roar. I'm Tommy Kreisland of Pelican Sports TV, and we'll continue. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Spread the roar. You're watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tynan, Miss Louisiana Team USA 2011.
And I'm Paige Pennick, Miss Louisiana USA 2011.
And
you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
One of the key attributes that really puts Papa John's pizza over the top is our meats. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Introducing Papa John's new double-layered premium pepperoni pizza. Loaded with a layer of our signature pepperoni, plus a layer of oversized deli-style pepperoni. Just $10 for a large. Or get any large pizza with any toppings. Just $11. Order now at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Attention, all companies dealing with cash flow problems. Companies are going out of business every day. Bankruptcies are at an all-time high. Accounts receivable delinquencies are at the highest levels in decades. Let us help your business collect money owed to your business. NRH and Associates has the solutions. Let NRH and Associates utilize their innovative collection methods to get cash flow back into your business. Call 601-889-0501. That number again, 601-889-0501.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane regardless.
Yeah, when we need to work. Anything together? Do we know that?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Kreisland, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score 1210 a.m. and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Excited.
We continue with Tigers Roar. Spread the roar across South Louisiana, Mississippi Gulf Coast. You can get us on Pelican Sports TV, of course, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, but we got the North Shore and Bayou Country. We got all that covered. As we said, email us. Yesterday, out on the campus of LSU at the indoor football practice facility, Media Day was held. Of course, free lunch, and that'll always draw a big crowd for the media, as many of them go only for the lunch, but I'll leave that at that. But, you know, Media Day is Media Day. You know, you coach, any coach, no coach is going to get up there at his school and say, you know, we're really going to be bad this year. We're not excited. We're weak at this position. We don't know what we're going to do with this. You're not going to hear that. Everybody's optimistic. Everybody's fired up. But you do get some information out of Media Day. And the simple fact of the matter is that when you go back in history, what the intent and purpose of the media is to be the medium between the fans of the program, which is you watching, and the program itself. So we had, what, about 100 of us out there yesterday? Was that safe to say? 100, 120 members of the media, maybe more about it if you took all day with some that maybe came and went. Out there gathering information for their local towns and outlets that they have to disseminate information about this LSU football team, and the heightened expectations are always high. Again, that's inside the Lawton Room, which is one of the team big meeting rooms, and as we're gathered there getting ready for Coach Miles and Coach Chavis and Coach Stadrawa. So we had a good day. Your overall feeling about Media Day?
Well, you know, it's an interesting dichotomy in that the media is there to try to ascertain as much information as they can, as you mentioned, to provide it to their different outlets, fans that watch, listen, or read their outlets. As a coach, though, I can tell you from that end of it, you want to use it as a positive, a way to present your program in a positive vein. But certainly you're not going to overstep those boundaries and do anything that's going to maybe open up information that you don't want out there. But yet you want to be open, you want to be positive, you want to be helpful, but quite frankly, to go over the line is detrimental to your program. So I think it is somewhat of a little bit of a frustrating, I hear this a lot from media members, well, it's frustrating, I don't get much out of it. I think if you're looking for things to be said, you're looking for the burning bush, if you will, you're not going to get it. But if you kind of look and you can read body language and read a feeling of how things are going on, I think you can ascertain some things out of it. And so I think it's a good experience. I think it's also good for a lot of the young players on the team that are not a part of every Monday and Media Day to maybe get exposed to it a little bit. I think it also says a lot about every program that has it, of how important it is. You should feel important out there if you've got that many people that are interested in what you're doing, and considering every one of those media representatives, they represent, as you mentioned, thousands and thousands of fans that really want to know a lot about your program. So I think it's a good situation, and certainly Michael Bonnet and his staff do a tremendous job of setting all that up to make things go very smoothly, and they did a really good job as always.
And one thing that was a little bit different about this year's Media Day was the off season. There was a lot of off the field, a little more than normal, pertaining to the LSU football program. Everything from, you know, right after the Cotton Bowl, that you had the Willie Lyles story that came out, had the, you know, the situation with the sanctions that came down with the player and Coach McCartney, and you had that, you had the Russell Shepard thing, and Coach Craig Thorpe being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. A lot of things off the field, you know, Les Miles and running through the car wash at ESPN and making TV commercials. So in a way, I know the coaches would rather do a lot of things than go to Media Day, and that's just the plain truth. But this year it may have been good to get right back into the football mindset, even though they had 4 or 5 practices under their belt by the time Media Day got here yesterday. So it was a little bit different from LSU, for LSU, because I wrote a blog at sportsnola.com about LSU needs to get the story back on the field, and yesterday at Media Day helps get it back on the field. Probably the biggest story, if you will, especially with the timing of it, was after the first practice, Coach Miles and LSU football announced that offensive coordinator Steve Craig Thorpe, a couple of weeks before that, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and they were going to shuffle some titles around. He would still work with the quarterbacks. He wouldn't have the title of offensive coordinator. Offensive line coach Greg Studrawa would take over offensive coordinator, something he did at Bowling Green for a few years, including 1 year under Urban Meyer before coming to LSU. A little bit of a change there. And when I first heard about the change, the timing didn't sound good, but I've come to learn that the reason the change was made now is, and again, we wish nothing but the best for Coach Craig Thorpe and his family as he deals with this situation, but there's some unknowns as that disease progresses forward. And if it would progress forward and then all of a sudden you had to make a change in October and November, that would be a more violent change than the one that occurred after the very first practice, where now it's laid out for the season. And we hope Coach Craig Thorpe medication gets him through this and where he can handle himself and this disease. So that's kind of why the timing was what it was. But as you said on the radio, it's not going to result in a whole lot of visible difference to the fans.
No, I think certainly the offense won't change. The philosophical approach is not going to change. And, to further your point, to make a move like this, you've got to put, first of all, Steve Craigthorpe and his family first and his health first. And by putting Greg in this position, Stud can come in, be the coordinator. Steve can be as involved and will be as involved in every facet that he can and his health will allow. But if he needs to step away a little bit, the pressure of having to live up to the responsibility of being the offensive coordinator is not there. So they are already prepared to kind of have his back, if you will. So I think it's a move that was a necessity, first of all, for Steve's health and care and well-being, and that's most important. But certainly I think it's something that's necessary for this football program. And Greg is a guy that's got experience. I think the challenge is going to be, and we'll get into it a little bit as we go during the show tonight, the challenge is going to be on game day. Greg Studrawa is going to be on in the box, which he normally is on the sidelines. That is going to be a change for him. So the offensive linemen, as they come off the field, he meets with them on the sidelines. He's not going to be there to do that. Steve Ensminger, who handles the tight ends, will have to meet with the tight ends and the offensive line. Communication is going to have to come down with any adjustments by Greg to Steve, then to the players. Greg has also, got the responsibility as a play caller, and that's an added responsibility, which the game plan will be set internally as a staff. And Greg is not what I would call a freewheeling, free-flowing, as the game develops type play caller. He's a percentage guy. Basically, what they see in their film grade study going into the game, that's basically what they're going to run, and they're not going to deviate a whole lot from it from in-game situations. But there's going to ask a lot of Steve Ensminger on the sidelines to help out. There's already in place if Steve Craigthorpe has to step away more than he is now, then Steve Ensminger is going to have to get involved with the quarterbacks a little bit more. But right now Steve can focus on the quarterbacks, and Steve Craigthorpe, that is. Ensminger can work with the tight ends. Billy Gonzalez has been involved in the passing game side of it. So it is a collaborative effort, but it always is. I just think in terms of how it's ultimately disseminated and come out on game day, and how that challenge is something that they're going to adjust to in scrimmages. They're going to really work hard on that and make any adjustments going forward before the opening game against Oregon.
And one thing you're always going to get here on Tigers Roar, a tip of the hat to our staff, and I do want to mention this, Tigers Roar airs on Wednesday nights, but our staff basically, like the football team prepares all week for the game, we prepare all week, almost 7 days a week. Something's being done in preparation for this show. It might be an email, it might be downloading some clips and highlights, or making a phone call, or setting up a guest. I meet with Chris Lecoq, our editor-in-chief, numerous times during the week to discuss stuff about each and every week's show. So you're always going to get some stuff from us, and obviously you're looking at some game footage from last year, because we don't have any game footage yet this year. Now, as we mentioned, the Pelican Sports TV crew was at Media Day yesterday, and we've got some comments for you about Coach Studrawa, Coach Stud as they call him, being appointed offensive coordinator. You're going to hear from Coach Craigthorpe, Coach Miles, Coach Stud, and some of the players directly on this topic of Coach Stud, now the offensive coordinator at LSU football.
It's obviously a little bit of a blow to myself, but by the same token, we're a family of great faith, and we know that we're going to be in exactly where God wants us to be, and that's here at LSU. And so I'm excited about coaching the quarterback. We've got a great room. When I was the offensive coordinator, before this happened, it was all of us together in that room, and I think it's going to continue to remain that way. We got a great staff, a great group of guys, so I hope for the next 8 to 10 or 12, 14 years I can be here at LSU coaching the quarterback. It's a place I love. I love this team. I love this staff. I love working for Les. And again, from a day-to-day standpoint, it's more nuisance for me right now than it is anything else. But I felt like at this point in time, it'd be best for me to just take a role where I can coach that quarterback every day and get him ready to play, and hopefully he has a great year. If he does, he gets all the credit. If he doesn't, give me all the blame. So
I was shocked, at the fact that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I mean he's not an older guy, so him being diagnosed with that at a young age is kind of shocking. But right after he told us that he was diagnosed with it, he also said that he's still going to be involved with everything that we're going to be doing this year. So, that sort of was a relief.
Let me tell you something that's really important to me. I had a chance during spring to go out and do some of the Tiger tours, and had a chance to be over in Lafayette, and had a guy that made a comment at the end of our talk there, and really made me feel great. The thing that he said was, Coach, you guys talk about the Tigers, said, we want you to understand that you are a Tiger too. You are a Tiger too. And what a great feeling that was to hear that coming from one of our fans. And so is Coach Craig Thorpe. He's a Tiger, and we're going to have his back. I know he's got my back when he needs to, and that's the way we operate. When you're a Tiger, you're a Tiger. There's no question about that. Same thing with Stud. Obviously, he's going to have an opportunity to come in here and talk to you. What a quality coach and what a quality person. And I guarantee you this, he's ready for the task, and I don't have to speak for him, but there's no doubt in my mind, I've been around him for 2.5 years now. He's done it before. He's done it on a high level. Certainly, he brings a lot of energy, so I'm excited about seeing, that part of it go into action. And certainly, like I said, I know he'll do an outstanding job.
I just think there's a great spirit in that room. I think there's a lot being done. I think the idea that Stud's been in that room for years now, and that he's really bringing all the skills to bear. Craig Thorpe's very involved. He's doing really all the things that he would normally have done without the coordinator's title.
And I feel the pressure only in such that I want to make sure that we have the best plan for our kids. And the pressure and the scrutiny, that I worry about is going to come from Coach Miles and what he says. And I don't worry about what, the armchair quarterbacks or those kind of things or what's said. I just want our kids to perform and put them in the position to perform well. I don't want to have stupid things that are in the coach's control, delay games, not getting personnel in, those kind of things. Those kind of things are excusable. And if it happens, it is our fault on offense. And so that responsibility I accept. I want to expect our team not to have those kind of things. I want to get them out there playing, executing, and making plays. And all the other stuff, I don't worry about that. I worry about what Coach Miles tells me and what we do with our kids and get them in the best position to play. But I understand the scrutiny in those things, and you just got to listen, not listen to that stuff and go on and do the best job you can do.
Yeah, Coach Stud, in 2007, my first year here was Coach Stud's first year. So we've been together here for 4 years now. And so I have all the respect and trust in the world for Coach Stud. He's done a great job. He's got a great resume in his past. He knows football, and these last couple of days he's been the same Coach Stud, but he knows a lot of football, and we trust in him, and we know he's going to get the job done.
I think the offseason went kind of like we all would have had it gone had Stud been the coordinator as well, except that there's a the difference of the responsibility. Stud would have been able to give a lot of pre-thought going into the season, which he didn't have.
So we'll kind of handle it with the team, and we'll all kind of chip in. And like I said, we want the best for Steve, and that's what we've all been concerned about. And none of us know really how this is going to go. But like I said, when you got wonderful guys and experience that Steve can jump in and grab the quarterbacks and Billy take them in the pass game and those things, it makes the job real easy.
Well, I still think you'll see that Craig Thorpe will have strong input in some of the style of passing and those things that Jordan Jefferson is most comfortable with. I think Stud's niche is really efficiency and making sure that, that the things that we're running have been practiced well and that we're ready to have advantages. So I just, he's style is not necessarily the issue here. It's more substance. And whether it was Craig Thorpe or Studrawa, the key to us is to make what we do efficient. And I think that that's something that he'll do.
Chris, let's talk a little bit about offensive coordinator, Coach Greg Studrawa. Has been here, for a couple of years now in the program as an offensive line coach. We're going to look at a graphic of his coaching experience. He's been around. He's had success in numerous different stops, including a stop at Bowling Green, where I want to say 1 year he was on the staff of Coach Urban Meyer. They crossed paths there once. He was also at Arkansas State up in Arkansas State and Sun Belt Conference, and been the offensive line coach. This is his 4th year at LSU. Your thoughts on Coach Studrawa?
Well, I knew Greg. Greg got his first start as a graduate assistant at Ohio State, and Mike, like most offensive line coaches, Tommy, he believes in being physical up front, and that's what he is going to believe in as a coordinator. And how it affects his play calling, well, it really doesn't. It's just an overall offensive philosophy. That doesn't change because he's in a different role, but what it does, it means they want to be physically dominant up front. They're a better run blocking unit up front than pass blocking, but they're effective as a pass blocking unit. But they want to control the line of scrimmage. Certainly running the football is what Les wants to do. It's why he hired Steve, and certainly Greg fits in that role. I remind everybody that Greg was a candidate before he hired Steve to be the coordinator to begin with. The only thing, and Les alluded to it, is the fact that you're making the adjustment now. You have to. A little bit more preparation time, a little bit more lead time would have been a little bit better. But in terms of the offense, this offense is going to be what it is. They're going to run the football. I think that Greg understands, like Steve did, that they need to get the ball in the hands of playmakers more. Probably the overall philosophical approach this season is streamline, get the ball in the hands of the playmakers, not do as much from a multiple personnel shifts and movement standpoint, less personnel groupings, but get the ball in the hands of playmakers, be it a freshman, be it a senior, but get the ball in the hands of playmakers. And ultimately, like to wear defenses down late in the game with a lead is what they'd like to do. I do believe, and I'll mention it again, the type of play caller will Greg be, it's going to be based upon a full week of meetings, film grade study, and what they believe percentage-wise is going to be the best fit in that situation, down and distance-wise, position on the field. That's what they're going to do. I don't expect them to be necessarily as adept at making in-game adjustments or to the flow of the game. I think some of that's going to come from Steve, some of that's going to come from Billy Gonzalez, some of that's going to come from Les, but I think that he's going to go with a high percentage angle. I've always learned that from a coaching standpoint, Tommy, you never know truly what you have when you're a head coach or a coordinator until you're trailing at halftime and you got to look your team and come up with some answers, because that's when they start to look at you. They'll have success. This offense has a chance to be successful this year, but I think in-game situations are the one thing that they can't prepare for until they get in that situation, and that's going to be the biggest adjustment, because I think game week preparation is going to be very, very similar to what it's always been, this offseason.
And one thing that Les Miles offensively, what they have done under Les Miles at LSU, is numerous coaches, 4 or 5 different coaches, are involved in putting the game plan together each week offensively, and you got one guy calling the plays. And I also wrote at sportsnola.com, Coach Craig Thorpe has never called a play at LSU, nor has Coach Studrawa. But guess who has? And that's Coach Les Miles. So it won't be a lot of change. They'll put together a plan and they'll implement it. The difference being Coach Craig Thorpe and Studrawa, as you said, will be in the press box. Billy Gonzalez, Steve Ensminger will be on the field communicating with the players. Some offensive coordinators like to be able to look in the eye of that quarterback on the sideline or that running back or that offensive guard and get a feel for what he can read in that guy's eyes. Won't be the case this year. They'll be upstairs, but I don't see a lot of change from what we could have expected had these titles not been shuffled last week.
Well, just to give an idea for our fans out there, how the staff works and how to work with this staff, and every staff does it very similarly. It's not a coordinator putting together a game plan. It is collectively a staff. Stud will still do the same thing he's always done, and that is work the run blocking assignments, breaking down an opponent's defensive front. Billy Gonzalez is responsible for breaking down opposing defenses, opposing coverages, and looking at that. Frank Wilson's responsible for personnel substitution on the field. Steve Ensminger is going to be, again, more in a role of having to communicate through Stud from the box to the offensive line as well as the tight ends on the field. So that's how that process works. Les, everybody talks about, well, Les calls this play. Les is, pardon the pun, less involved than the other coaches on the game plan. He sits in on it. What Les does is has a feel for flow of game and may make suggestions and say, okay, what do you like? Give me something that we can go in tight or jumbo package, or let's go run out of a spread set. Which one of these do you like? And he may kind of guide it, and he may do that even more. But in terms of calling plays, there's probably not, a dozen plays that Les even knows because he's not as involved in putting it together as much as the others. But he does have experience in the overall process, and he does have an input of saying what direction they ought to go. So it's kind of guiding the process. And let's look at, we've got a lead, let's look at running it, let's look at taking the air out of it, let's look at opening it up, whatever the case may be. So it kind of, on that play sheet, it kind of directs you to here or there. And that's what he does. And that's often when you see him with that sheet out, it's what he's saying. What do you like here, there? I don't like, maybe I'm not liking what direction it's going. That's kind of how that process works on this staff, and it's similar to on other staffs, just depending upon the coaching makeup and who the coordinator and the head coach and which side of the ball he's from.
You kind of made reference to a point I'd like us both to elaborate on. When you talk about there could be a different goal with a certain given possession. Example being, everybody wants to see the 80-yard touchdown pass. Well, the team may be better served trying to drive the ball 40 or 50 yards, and if you can't finish off the drive, then punting it, but yet you may have taken 5, 6, 7 minutes off the clock, which, and you had the 13-point lead, so you're shrinking the other team's opportunity. The goal is not always to have the 80-yard touchdown. Sure, it's nice and sweet and you like it. However, there can be other priorities on a given possession depending on, as you say, all the layers involved, the defense, the time remaining on the clock, the score. And that also comes from that offensive game plan.
Well, from an offensive standpoint, your responsibility is to take all of your playmakers and put them in the best position to have success. You've got receivers that can make plays, you've got runners that can make plays, you've got a quarterback that can do certain things well, and you try to maximize that. But you can't please everybody on every play. What you have to do as a coordinator is try to systematically go, what is going to work best in this down and distance and field position situation against this front and coverage. And then as a head coach, it goes even a little bit broader and bigger. Okay, in this situation, I feel we're having a hard time protecting in pass protection. We got an advantage at the line of scrimmage. Let's focus a little bit more on this. And that's kind of where the direction will go from a head coach to a coordinator. It kind of streamlines it, and then obviously the coordinator has to decide which one of a myriad of situations he could go through in this particular package. So I hope that gives a little bit of an idea. It's not just a grab bag like you got a little bucket and let's just say we got a draw play. It's a design and it's a systematic approach to it. And I always say this all the time when people criticize a play. I always say, and it's usually an offensive play, is okay, tell me what the front is, tell me what the coverage is, and well, I don't know. And well, if you can't determine that, you can't criticize a play call, folks, because that's the whole purpose of understanding what the defensive personnel grouping is in, and we're talking offensive play calling now, what the front and what the coverage is, and you've got to have a couple of options, check options at the line of scrimmage that the quarterback is comfortable handling. So I think their approach is going to be to streamline it, make it a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable for Jordan so that he can be a little bit more comfortable and confident pre-snap as to what he's seeing, and hopefully that'll translate to more post-snap success.
If you do want to give us a call, keeping it in the offensive mindset here, our phone number is area code 225-248-0049. That's 225-248-0049. Toll free if you're outside of South Louisiana at 888-948-0049. That's the toll-free number. As we continue to talk offense, if you do want to make a call, again, one thing we want to do on this fall in Tigers Roar is when we do open up the phone lines, you follow the topic. You know, it's kind of like, when we do the radio show, we're talking about LSU, we don't need to call about the Saints mixed in. We want to kind of keep a flow to the people that are listening in the case of radio, watching in the case of TV. So phone numbers again, area code 225 here in Baton Rouge, 248-0049. The toll-free number is 888-948-0049. You see the toll-free number on your screen. And again, you got a point?
Well, I was going to mention something, too, that was brought up I think is important, and we may get to it later. But Coach Stud brought up something because it was addressed. It's pure and simple. As a coordinator, one of the things that he's going to have to handle better than has been handled in the past is what? Clock management issues. What have we heard about that? Game management issues on the sideline have happened. It's been the topic more even as much as quarterback play. And he addressed it head on. I mean, you could see he was ready for the question, and I thought he was going to run through the podium to answer it. He was so ready to answer it. And it was real simple. You've got to streamline what you're doing in those situations. In late game situations or late in the half situations, you can't be looking at the best personnel to get in. You have a time element, so you have to go with what's in there. So you want to have a game plan in that situation, late in the half, late in the game, where you're going to go with more multiple looking personnel, where you can do as many things out of those personnel sets as you can, so that you can go with it without making the shifts, wasting time, eating clock, and costing your opportunities. And how do you do that? You don't just do it and show up and do it on Saturdays. You got to practice it. You've got to practice it situationally, and I think that's something that it was pretty obvious to me that he was ready to tackle head on, both in an interview process, and I think that he is probably not interested in having many close games. But if there is one, I think he feels like he's going to have this team better prepared in those situations, because that happened against Ole Miss, and it cost them a game. It happened against Tennessee and could have easily cost them that game.
Right.
So I think that was a big part of it. It was personnel substitution issues. We talked about it last year when it happened, Tommy. But, you've got to adjust to that, and I think that he understands that and something that he's going to be prepared for. And it's a part of a big picture process and change that they made offensively this year.
Again, we're keeping it in an offensive frame of mind here, and we come back, we got more clips and highlights from Media Day, more comments from coaches. I'm being told we can't go to break yet, but keeping it on the offensive side of the ball. Talking about the quarterback, obviously it's a huge topic each and every year. Jordan Jefferson's the guy. Jarrett Lee is the backup at this point. I've been told there's been days when Jarrett Lee has really looked good on the practice field. But Jordan Jefferson's the guy. He'll be taking that snap against Oregon.
I've seen him in practice. I've seen the practice tape, and there's no question that in the coach's eyes that Jordan Jefferson, it's just his team. It's not going to be a case, like it or not, if he has a couple of picks or they struggle early against Oregon, they're going to allow him to work his way out of it. I do think, and I think he has earned it, Jarrett Lee, his production and his play against Florida, against Tennessee, probably don't win those games without his contribution. They feel even more comfortable with him being able to insert him into it. I know the question. Let's just answer the question before it gets asked. When is Zach Mettenberger going to play? In mop-up duty only. It's about it. He is a distant number 3. He clearly doesn't have a feel for the offense. They're clearly not comfortable with playing him at any point other than mop-up duty. So, and I do think it's important that if they can find some snaps for him, the key, Tommy, is can he earn number 2 reps? Because right now, there's a huge gap between the number 2 spot in Jarrett Lee and Zach Mettenberger. And you're not going to get significant reps unless you're number 2 on the depth chart. So can he earn enough reps? Can he get enough reps in mop-up game action to prepare him for next year? But make no mistake about it, this coaching staff's not concerned about next year. They're concerned about this coming season.
They're concerned about Oregon
and they're concerned about everything related to that. And so those are your 2 quarterbacks, barring an injury, and they're going to prepare Zach as expediently as Zach's play will allow him to it. Now, from Zach's standpoint, I think he's got some things to learn about how to study and how to learn. Not just, it's not laziness or anything, but there's a way you have to go about studying and preparing that I think that he's not been accustomed to yet, and he's got to learn that before he can take that next step.
When we come back, we got more comments from Coach Miles, Coach Stud, the players. Going to talk about that quarterback position, and going to get into the offensive line a little bit. Chris Landry, Tommy Kreis says, spread the roar. You're watching Tigers Roar each and every Wednesday night, 8 to 10 p.m. live. If you're catching another day, you got a replay. Stay with us. We got more Tigers Roar.
Hi, I'm Troy Landry. You're watching Pelican Sport TV. I'm fixing to shoot him. Shoot him.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Lady, you shouldn't be here.
Oh, I'm not here. I'm just a figment of your imagination. But you are thinking about grabbing a Rocky Mountain cold Coors Light at happy hour. Maybe you can even buy me one.
You're gorgeous. What's your name?
Jim. And thanks.
Keep it up, Kimbo.
Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
When you go hunting for tires, be sure to go to Hunt's Tire and Car Care, established in 1988. Hunt's Tire offers complete car care services and can meet all of your tire needs. From north to south, east to west, come see Les for the best. Michelin tires and great service. Call 272-7404. Relax in the customer lounge while waiting for your vehicle. Serving the greater Baton Rouge area since 1988, Hunt's Tire and Car Care is ready to serve you.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
We continue with Tigers Roar, keeping it in the offensive state of mind, if you will. Hank Williams Jr. said, country state of mind. We got an offensive state of mind going on. Here are some comments, more comments from Media Day, which took place out at LSU yesterday. Coach Miles, Coach Stud, and several players talking about depth and expectations of the quarterback position.
I think the offense is a, I think we're coming to age there in the things that we want to do.
I would describe it as a group that's going to attack and be very physical. That's what I want to be, and it's as best as I can describe it. I don't know about style or any kind of those things. I'm not very much of a style guy, absolutely. But we're going to be enthusiastic. All right, we're going to hustle. We're going to run around. We're going to fly around. I want to be physical and win the line of scrimmage, and I like to make big plays. I like to put our kids in a position to, like you said, Ruben. Go, Ruben. Here's 3 ways we got you to get the ball. Go make a play. All right, Jordan. Here's 3 ways you got the thing. Let's go make a play. All right, those young wide receivers we got. Boones and Fobbs and Wright and the young kids in this freshman class. Those guys. Go get those kids a chance. chance to make plays. So we are going to be aggressive and attacking and come after you and come after you and come after you. That's what I want to be like. I don't want to be passive. So if you ask me, that's what I would say. We're going to go be aggressive, attacking, and a physical bunch from wide receiver blocking on the perimeter to running backs and pass protection to offensive line when it's fourth and you need that much. Those kind of things. That's what we're going to do. We're going to be known as a physical group that attacks you.
You know, we got a little more faster tempo, I think, going this year. We've really stressed upon that, being a little faster tempo, getting a little more plays in than we did last year, these last couple of years. So we're looking forward to it. We've done a great job these last few days in camp, and we're excited about this season.
Reading the defense a little quicker. One thing our defense does, which I'm getting a great look at right now, is when I come off the ball, well, before I come off the ball, they might be in one set, but then when I take a couple of steps, they might roll into something else. So just understanding a defense and understanding what I have once they rotate, understanding my blocking assignment, understanding attention to details on my route.
I was a young receiver not too long ago, and I know how these guys feel at certain points in time, and I feel like it's my job, to let them know that, just go out and make plays, do what you do. It's not really pressure on you. It's, you've been playing football pretty much all your life. It's just go out there and make plays, show coach that you know your assignment, play confident, play fast, and, everything else will take care of itself.
It keeps us all over that edge because, you never know, because our backfield unit is so strong from all angles, and there's no time to take plays off. You can't take no plays off in the game, so every practice is really like a game.
It does feel good. Like I say, man, it's a good group of us. We all have a lot of camaraderie, and the beauty of this group is the depth, because we can all take something from each other and learn from it.
My last 4 games that I played, I threw 800 yards. So the back half of the season is where I feel that I should be playing the whole season, and that's what I'm really focusing on this year, is really playing consistent and play how I played in the Texas A&M game, every game.
We have a game plan, we put the game plan on paper, and then it's the play caller's responsibility to call that play at that time. So if I feel that play needs to be called, it's something we've practiced, we've worked on, here's a situation to call it, absolutely, that's what I'm going to call. And like I said, I'm going to call those things with all the confidence of the preparation we've had that week, what we've done, that we're ready to go, that we can execute it. And if I'm confident in all those things, I'll call that play. And I'll be ready to call that play in that situation because we're prepared to do so.
Chris Landry, when you talk offensive football, it always starts up front with the offensive line, the guys up front. And LSU's got some experience and got some depth. Not a ton of depth, but they've got some depth on the offensive line.
I think they're really good. I think they do have a lot of depth. They really play the same 5, but if a guy goes down with injury, they've got really some options there. T-Bob Hebert is a starting offensive lineman, SEC caliber offensive lineman. He can start at either guard spot or at center. Josh Dworsik, who's the starting left guard, is the 3rd tackle. So one of the 2 tackles go down, Chris Falk or Alex Hurst. Josh Dworsik is immediately out there, and T-Bob Hebert is in his spot. You got some versatility with Will Blackwell, can start at right guard, but he can play center if need be. So they've got 8 guys that they're very comfortable with. Greg Shaw can play a couple of different positions. So I think it's a good group. It's a better run blocking unit. I think it's a solid to good pass protection unit. The short sets really solid. They can be beaten a little bit on the edge. Chris Falk is clearly the best athlete, the foot athlete, which you expect to be on the left tackle spot. But I think this is a good group. I think the offensive line is as good as the weakest link. You can have 4 guys do things perfectly and 1 guy really misread or a little bit late and the whole play breaks down. So it's the one unit that really revolves around togetherness and everything has to work as one. The experience, particularly in the interior of the offensive line, makes this a unit a special one. And we heard them talk about tempo and the importance of tempo. That's part of what we talked about before the last break, and that they want to get to the line of scrimmage quicker. They want to have a little bit more of a streamlined offensive approach so that they can attack a little bit more aggressively and impose their will with more offensive plays against an opponent. So we'll see how that works out.
Here are some more comments for you from Media Day out at LSU. Comments by Coach Miles, Coach Stud, and some of the players in particular talking about the offensive line.
I'm going to tell you one thing in this league and being here now for years. You better be physical and you better win the wars up front. all right, before anything else occurs. I don't care if you're throwing it, running it, whatever you're doing. You better have an attitude of physicality up front on both sides of the football, okay, to win games in this league. So, yes, the T-Bobs, the Will Blackwells, the Alex Hurst, Durasic, those guys have been through wars. All right, so they have to lead us. When the going gets tough, they have to get in that huddle and say, okay, let's go, calm down, settle down, get excited, whatever it needs to be at the time. They have to play a vital role in doing that.
Durasic is again, he's playing every day. We're just kind of, picking our spots. He could be in every play and he could be in every practice, but we're just kind of, going slowly. He's going to be fine.
Josh, we went in there after the bowl game and looked at his knee, and it was worse than they thought. There's some damage in there. He's got some bone on bone, problems in there. So it was a little more serious, which is why we held him out of spring. And throughout the summer, it kind of swelled, and as he worked out and tried to do more, it was kind of swelling. It was a little bit of an issue. And then about 2 weeks before we came to camp, it started getting healthy. He worked out, it wasn't swelling. So right now he's feeling great. He's had 2 good practices. I'm kind of limiting what he's doing right now. He's not taking a ton of reps. I don't want to wear him out through this 2-a-day part. But he has been really, really good. He's happy. He's got no problem driving off. All right, that was the issue before. He had pain when he drove off his leg. No pain now. So I'm trying to manage him as we get him. He's got to manage not only the injury, but manage getting him back into the swing of things. And so that's going well. T-Bob is as healthy and as physically strong as he's been. I mean, he's had a knee injury, he's had an ankle broken in 3 places, he's had a shoulder surgery, and he's been fighting those things his whole career. And right now, he is as physically strong and as physically in shape and healthy as he's ever been. He's having a great, great camp so far. He's been playing center, he's been playing guard. So I'm looking for an outstanding year. And those 2 kids are so smart. Those 2 guys, are the reason that I can go upstairs in the box and still have things downstairs, even with Steve and those guys managing it. Those 2 kids are like coaches in the field. They've been in this system. They know exactly what we're doing. They make the calls. And without those 2 kids, it'd be a heck of a lot more difficult than it is because they're really, really great coaches and players.
Well, that's just one of those things I think kind of comes with age. When you get a little older, you start to see things better. And even if you're on the sideline, if you're paying attention and watching, you can see what the defense is doing. You can see what's going on. You almost got a whole you almost have a better view than if you're out there because you can see the entire defense. So in that way, you're able to collaborate with the guys that are out there, figure out what's going on, and then when you go in, you make yourself better prepared to be successful. I think we're a pretty good run blocking team right now. I think we can still do some better things, probably with really dominating some guys, but I think we're a good run blocking team. What I'd like to see is we always want less sacks every year. We don't want to make any mistakes mentally, no missed assignments. We want to pick up blitzes, and we want to keep Jordan as healthy as he can be.
This group, other than Falk, has played a lot of football together. And the good thing is, Falky got in there against Ole Miss last year and started. Falky got in there against Arkansas and started. Falky played in the bowl game, so now he's been in there in 3 pretty big-time games with them. So it is a group that works together. They live to hang out together. They do everything together. And when you have that cohesiveness, they get to be pretty good. And right now they have confidence in each other. They know each other. I know where I'm stepping. I can say, hey, and those things in the transition, those schemes and what happens at the snap of the football, they do very, very well. So right now, I'd say this is as good a group as I've had.
The experience that we have, I think we have 9 returning starters. I've never been part of an O-line that has that many people come back that's had live reps in a game. And so that just, it brings a confidence, and even more, it just, you have a trust in the guys that are lined up beside you, which is so important in O-line because it's one of the most teamwork heavy positions in football. You're all working together. It's 5 guys side by side, and so I know I can trust Josh, Will, all those guys. It's like you're in the foxhole. You're in the trenches, and you got your brothers by you there, and you trust them to fight for you.
Chris, in just a minute or 2, we'll go to a break, but and then when we come back, we'll break down position by position of the offensive line. But your comments as an evaluator of the things Coach Stud and T-Bob Hebert said about the experience and how valuable that is, and he uses a key word of your trust. You know you carry out your assignment. You trust your guy on your left and the right going to do what he's supposed to do, and it's going to end up being a 6 or 7 yard gain and not a no gainer.
Absolutely. Offensive linemen offensive line plays assignment football, and having your trust of your guy next to you that you don't have to you just do your job and not have to worry about somebody else not doing their job. That is really important, and I think particularly the interior of the offensive line, the experience that they have, they're very, very technique sound and physical and tough. And a couple of things I wanted to mention that Coach Stud mentioned there. Josh Dworshik played a lot of last year with a bum knee. He had arthroscopic surgery, and he is coming along pretty well. Watch him in practice, and he doesn't see that pain. So he should be only better in that regard. And then T-Bob Hebert. He is the best on the sidelines on that team, when, and including the coaches, when they come off the field, of helping them recognize what the front is doing and helping make any adjustments. So he's going to be of great value on the field and off the field. So I can't stress enough what that young man means to the team. So I think it's a good group. I pray for their sake, like I pray for every team's sake, for good health, because I think that's important. But they do have depth to be able to shuffle things around, and it is a byproduct of Coach Stud and how he teaches. Right now, freshman Lyle Collins from Redemptorist, outstanding player, good tackle, probably end up at left tackle at some point in his career, playing guard. That's what you want. Start him at guard. You'll learn more about offensive line play from the inside out. Starting him, playing him at guard, helps him get a better understanding, and if he ends up, because he's probably going to end up being a starting guard like next year, and then you maybe move him out. Did Jonathan Ogden, a future Hall of Fame offensive lineman, played guard his first year with the Baltimore Ravens. Really important. So how Stud has trained these guys is created this ability to have the versatility. When guys go down, it can put their five best available guys on the field.
We remind you, you're watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV live Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. Spread the roar. If you got us on a Thursday, Friday, or a Saturday, you got a replay going. We appreciate you being tuned into that. Again, we're live streaming on the internet Wednesday nights, 8 to 10. Spread the roar for us. When we come back, we'll visit with Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com. They cover all this LSU stuff as well as anybody, and similar to what we do. With Chris Landry, I'm Tommy Chrysan, back with Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com, and then some more offensive line talk. You're watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.